Everyone, it's Luke again. This is my second time recording this video because I originally posted it concerning readings from last week's reading. So I'm changing it up. I reread the readings and I'm going to be discussing stuff from the Students Helping Students manual because I really connected with it. The first thing that I want to talk about is I always want to give advice. I was reading through that and it's like, advice isn't always the best thing to give, and I want to own that. And but I also want to say that I always want to give advice, and that's just where I come from. And so I've been trying really hard to move away from that. And so I just want to go through the steps, the skills that they listed, and talk about where I have strengths and where I have weaknesses. The first one is skills of attending, and I feel like I rock that. I feel like when I'm talking with somebody, I'm really good at being physically attentive, and I'm really good at being psychologically attentive and just giving myself to that. And I think that really reflects why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm a human development and family sciences major, so I have a passion for people, and I think this just stems from that. I'm really interested in what people have to say to me, and I'm really interested in working with people. So it just seems really natural and easy for me to be engaged in somebody's conversation and dialogue. The next one, skills of understanding. One thing that I didn't relate to was using interchangeable responses. I found that I was lacking in that, and I saw that and I was like, oh, I need to work on that. Because I think that being able to quickly review what somebody's saying and just sum it up for them to help them externally process is important, because I know I'm an external processor. So when I need to talk to people to have them help me figure it out, because I work best when I talk. But the second part of understanding was empathy, and I was I rock that. I rock feeling, not just sympathy. And I like that they distinguished sympathy from empathy, because a lot of people think that if you just understand what they're feeling and kind of relate to that it's enough. But sometimes having empathy and being able to truly feel that emotion and connect with them on that can really turn a conversation and really help somebody work through what they're going through. The next skill was the skills of responding. And I think that this is where I need the most work. This is where I have the most room to grow and the most ability to change the way I communicate with people. And the steps that they kind of listed, summarizing, clarifying, confronting, interpreting, these methods of responding to people. It's where I read that and I was like, I just need to work on this. And one thing that I really appreciated was they named that this isn't something that comes naturally for us as people, especially growing up in I grew up in a predominantly white town, and being able to have healthy interpersonal communication wasn't something that I grew up around. We grew up around a lot of advice, which is why I think I give a lot of advice, and I'm most comfortable with it. And then when it got to the section in the reading about knowing your limits and when to refer, I think that this is, one, incredibly gray, and it's different for everybody, and I respect that. But I had to kind of think to myself, and I'm like, what are my limits? Where are things that I draw the line? And I think that one of the things that I struggle with the most is working at the Pride Center. I've had a lot of stories brought to me of physical abuse, and that's really hard for me to hear. It brings me back to when I was physically abused, and that happened to me multiple times in my adolescence and still early adulthood. And I find that when people bring stories to me about physical abuse, there's just a part of me that doesn't want to refer them, because I feel like I need to be present with them and work through that. But I also recognize that sometimes I'm not fully available to be able to have that conversation with them. And it's hard, and I think that that's one of the things that as peer educators we're going to have to gonna have to work on is knowing that moment where we're in over our heads, and we're gonna have to be able to refer them to other excuse me, to other our GTAs or people in CAPS or anybody that's a little bit higher up than us. And so I really respected that they named that. And so the last part of the reading, the tips to better interpersonal communication, I loved them. I loved all of them, but the three that I loved the most and that I think I use the most are owning messages. Using my's and I's in a conversation. Excuse me, my throat is suddenly getting very itchy. And I loved that they named that it's appropriate to use in interpersonal communication of just talking from a place of yourself. And I think it goes back to the critical race theory and using your own personal using yourself, grounding things in yourself to be able to move forward. The next is using redundancy, and I think I did this without realizing that I read this and I realized that I do this and never actually thought about it. And that I hammer in a point over and over and over again, and I will come back to it, and I'll bring it back full circle. And I love that this is something that they tell people to do, because it seems kind of counterintuitive. It's like, don't hammer it in, or don't beat a dead horse is a phrase that I think about whenever I'm being redundant. Is I say, I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but I love that they named that, and that was something that they encourage people to do. And the last part is naming feelings. Sometimes it's really easy for me to be able to have a conversation with somebody and then never name what I felt, or what kind of help them name what they felt. I guess not help them name, but just allow them to name. I think that that's incredibly important in any conversation, to have that availability of naming your emotions and comfort of doing so. And that was my take on students helping students. That's what I'm going to leave with. I hope you all are having a fabulous week, and I can't wait to see everybody on Friday. Thanks.